You came for emptiness and found empty promises. What if the ancient path of non-grasping has been repackaged into the hottest wellness fad? What if your Buddha nature now comes with a price tag and a lifetime subscription? In this inquiry, we will expose how the market's appetite for quick fixes has stripped mindfulness of its soul, turning the dharma into disposable commodities and spiritual stardom. In its original context, dharma was a living transmission, untamed, unruly, demanding total presence. Today, it arrives in boxed kits, apps, retreats, and branded merchandise. The very notion of ineffable awakening has been distilled into slick Instagram posts, each promising instant calm and maximal profit. This alchemy, transforming non-conceptual insight into marketable content, betrays the essence of practice. When the three jewels become trademarks, authenticity yields to image, and the Sangha dissolves into follower counts and click-through rates. Buddha taught that craving is the root of suffering. Yet today, we crave that craving's cure, a curated playlist of mindful music, a one-size-fits-all meditation gadget, the guru's face on a coffee mug. We clutch these props as talismans, believing they liberate us. In reality, they chain us to endless desire for better sleep, deeper focus, a more enlightened social media persona. This ironic twist, using desire to transcend desire, is the market's greatest coup. It mirrors the very samsaric loop Buddhism sought to break, repackaged as self-care. Watch as retreat stages morph into celebrity platforms, where the silent hallways echo with selfie clicks instead of gong strikes. Here, authenticity is a costume. Flowy robes, cryptic mantras recited in halting English, perfectly framed lotus poses under neon lights. This spectacle appeals to our longing for transcendence, yet it's a pantomime. True presence doesn't enlist a PR team or curated hashtags. By staging mindfulness as performance art, the market exploits our deepest longing for the sacred, leaving us enthralled by the show rather than touched by the teaching. Limited edition retreats priced like private jets. Only 10 spots left, blares the email subject line. Early bird discounts that vanish in hours, creating the illusion of monastic austerity. But this faux discipline is the flip side of luxury. By simulating scarcity, sellers tap into our fear of missing out, training us to chase the next authentic experience. We mistake booking confirmations for vows, consumer urgency for spiritual urgency, and inadvertently co-sign on the very craving Buddhism set out to dissolve. Imagine a gilded Buddha statue, not enshrined in quiet reverence, but perched on your dashboard beside air fresheners. This is the modern desecration of sanctity. Spiritual icons reduced to kitsch decor and marketing mascots. In traditional sanghas, the image of the Buddha serves as a mirror for inner awakening, a doorway pointing beyond form. Yet today, corporations plaster his serene countenance on everything from yoga mats to protein shakes, divorcing the icon from its ethical and contemplative roots. This transmogrification of the sacred into the saleable strips the image of its stillness. The golden halo becomes a neon sign. Buy now. We latch onto these symbols as props for our Instagram feeds, believing that the shards of borrowed holiness will glue our fragmented selves, while in truth, we worship at the altar of consumerism, cloaked in saffron. Worse still, Sanskrit mantras, once carefully transmitted syllables charged with living transmission, are now sampled as audio loops for background playlists. The recitation loses its resonance, becomes wallpaper, an ambient track for maximum productivity. In this sonic void, the sound of awakening is drowned by clickbait algorithms and royalty payments. True dharma is built on emptiness and letting go. Yet the market fills the emptiness with more emptiness, more things. The irony is staggering. We buy scented candles labeled Zen atmosphere to conjure spacious awareness, then suffocate under a pile of branded tchotchkes. Every mindful mug, every nirvana neon sign carries a paradox. We project onto objects the very transcendence we must realize within. The mug doesn't awaken us. It awakens our attachment. The t-shirt printed with a pensive bodhisattva doesn't cultivate compassion. It markets it, sells it back to us in a cycle of craving and disappointment. This cycle corrodes collective awakening. By treating wisdom as a franchise, we freeze practice into static merchandise. The Sangha fractures into tribes of consumers, each loyal to their preferred brand of authenticity. Meanwhile, the very inquiry Buddha urged, who am I beyond the names and shapes, is abandoned in favor of which brand am I? In the end, the spiritual marketplace doesn't enrich our inner lives. It reproduces the same samsara under a veneer of mindfulness. We cycle through products, seminars, and signature scents, hoping one purchase will finally break the chain, only to discover that liberation was never for sale. We crave bespoke experiences. Our meditation, like our latte, must be just so. Yet in crafting a personalized practice, the market feeds our ego's hunger rather than dissolving it. Curated retreat tracks. Now you can choose a stress reduction path or a peak performance mindfulness journey. Each track boasts its own logo, color palette, and expert curated playlist. But these niched packages pander to identity narratives. Your practice becomes an extension of your brand, reinforcing the very self Buddhism teaches you to question. Algorithmic meditation apps analyze your moods, your sleep data, even your heart rate variability, then serve you a programmed sequence of guided sites. This feels bespoke, yet it's a one-size-fits-all algorithm. In reality, the algorithm treats your inner states as commodities to be optimized, not mysteries to be met with curiosity. Personalization here means tailoring content to keep you as an active subscriber, not to guide genuine insight. Zen, by zip code, location-based mindful moments, ping you with deals on weekend retreats. Hey, resident of Austin, 20% off yin-yang yoga and mindfulness. The subtle implication, your spiritual needs are defined by your postcode and your purchasing power. Dharma becomes another local service, tied to geo-targeted ads rather than universal truths. Ego-driven custom merch, your name in Sanskrit on a yoga mat, your aura color candle, your spirit guide, oracle deck. These products flatter self-obsession under the guise of ancient wisdom. Here, the path of non-self becomes an invitation to deepen self-marketing. We pursue identity-affirming trinkets, thinking they anchor us in authenticity, when they actually tether us more tightly to the marketplace's ceaseless churn. Personalization sells because it promises a practice as unique as your fingerprint. Yet Buddhism points to the absence of a permanent self. How can we customize what is, by definition, no one? Every thought, every breath, every micropause is now data. In the name of insight, the tech-industrial complex harvests your mind's landscape, turning your vulnerability into profit. Data-driven dharma meditation apps track session lengths, geolocation, time of day, ambient noise levels, even facial expressions through optional camera monitoring. Each data point sold to analytics firms who claim to improve your experience. But that improvement is optimized for engagement metrics, daily active users, session frequency, not for genuine liberation. You become a data profile, not a pilgrim. The panopticon of presence group meditation. Live streams now include real-time participation graphs. Who's meditating longer? Who paused? Whose attention waned? Teachers tout these metrics as proof of effectiveness. Under this gaze, mindfulness practice becomes a performance under surveillance, judged by unseen metrics. Your every lapse can generate a nudge notification to pull you back. Ironically, breeding attachment to the very distractions you seek to transcend. Commercial mind reading. Advanced wearables claim to detect EEG signatures of relaxation or focus. Brands market bracelets and headbands that monitor your meditative state and flashlights or play chimes when you're off course. This techno-spiritual gadgetry reframes inner silence as a KPI, key performance indicator. Your own mind becomes the frontier of corporate measurement. Your peaks and troughs tracked, monetized, and repurposed as ad targets. Psychographic targeting of the soul. Your meditation data merges with social media profiles. Now advertisers know if you meditate at 4 a.m. or during your lunch break. They tailor ads for supplemental mindfulness boosters, clarity tonics, or premium breathwork packages. Thus, the marketplace gains unprecedented insight into your intimate struggles, shaping desires you may not have known you harbored. Your quest for awakening becomes fodder for consumerist algorithms, the betrayal of privacy. In centuries past, teachings were transmitted heart to heart in trusted sanghas. Today, your data is brokered, aggregated, and fed into black box analytics without true consent or understanding. The vow of confidentiality, once sacred between teacher and student, is now a faint echo drowned by click-through agreements and default share settings buried deep in app menus. Surveillance capitalism turns our pilgrimage inward into a marketplace spectacle. It invites us to trade our privacy for the illusion of progress and calls that liberation. In ages past, the Sangha was a refuge of interdependence, a woven tapestry of practitioners supporting each other through vows, shared alms bowls, and co-created rituals. Now, the market's solo journey narrative has unraveled that communal fabric, leaving us stranded in isolated apps and pay-per-view ceremonies. Fragmented fellowships. Once, practitioners gathered at dawn to chant together, regardless of status or wealth. Today, we attend branded mindfulness clubs, where membership fees segment attendees into tiers: basic, premium, VIP. The lineage of shared practice becomes a ledger of subscription levels. This tiered patronage fosters envy. We scroll through social feeds to see which influencers attend the executive retreat, longing for the aura boost that comes with a platinum badge. Pay-per-view Dharma enlightenment tutorials now come with paywalls. A $9.99 introductory course entices you with gentle breathing, but the deep dive into impermanence demands $199. Premium upgrades promise one-on-one feedback, mimicking the guru's personal attention, yet reducing intimacy to a transactional email thread. By commodifying access to teachings, we internalize the market's logic. Spiritual depth has a price, and only those who can pay deserve the secrets. Influencer Sanghas, Instagram and YouTube monastics amass followers like lay donors of old. Except here, likes and shares are their currency. They offer bite-sized Buddhism, 60-second affirmations, quartz crystal meditations, spiritual sunglasses hauls. Followers double tap on posts rather than chant in harmony. Community interaction reduces to comment sections where brand ambassadors moderate discourse and delete dissent, eroding the sacred space for genuine Sangha dialogue. Subscription over Sangha. Support unlimited live classes. An illusion of endless support. Yet these live feeds lack the warmth of a committed Sangha elder's gaze. You may post and chat, but responses are canned, curated, or outsourced to AI bots trained on inspirational quotes. The collective refuge becomes a self-serve buffet, stripping away the accountability and empathy integral to traditional Sangha life. The exodus of lay practitioners. Lay students, once pillars of community, find themselves priced out. Retreats priced at thousands of dollars exclude those with modest means, leaving only corporate wellness warriors and deep-pocketed seekers. The Sangha's once democratic ethos fractures, creating spiritual ghettos where only the affluent can belong. The marketplace's credo, "You get what you pay for," undermines the Dharma's radical openness. When spiritual community is reframed as consumer subscription, we lose the very interdependence that fosters genuine transformation. Once clothed in patched robes, seeking no fame beyond the forest hermitage, today's Sangha stars appear in Forbes lists and brand partnerships. The Buddha's quiet revolution has morphed into a red carpet spectacle. Monastic makeovers. The ascetic's shaved head and symbol robe now share space with designer sunglasses, wellness watches, and private jets decked with meditation cushions. This curated image blurs ascetic humility with luxury branding. We mistake the glamour for authenticity, believing that the influencer's curated vulnerability equals spiritual depth. Brand collaborations. Mindfulness icons. Co-author books with beverage companies. Launch Zen sneaker lines and star in CBD oil commercials. Sacred vows of detachment turn into sponsored posts and affiliate links. Each number ad tag is a small contract. Your attention in exchange for the illusion of sanctity and the quarterly dividend of brand revenue. Cult of personality. Followers invest emotionally in the influencer's journey. Funding Patreon tiers to unlock exclusive streams, personalized blessings, and direct messaging privileges. This dynamic mirrors ancient guru devotion, but with a price menu. $5 for a group blessing, $50 for a private chat, $500 for a signed photo. Devotion becomes a consumer tier, echo chambers of praise. Algorithms amplify only the glowing testimonials. Critical voices get shadow banned or shadow ignored, reinforcing the influencer's unassailable aura. Dissent within the digital Sangha is recast as trolling, further silencing inquiry and debate. The endless scroll for new mindfulness celebrities distracts from sitting in stillness. We chase the next yogi star rather than the timeless insights of impermanence and non-self. Our spiritual attention spans shrink to the length of Instagram stories, sacrificing depth for ephemeral trends. When the monk becomes the celebrity, the message is lost. Awakening isn't measured in followers, but in the capacity to let go of even these digital chains. Picture the fortune hunters of old, digging tunnels, draining rivers, stripping mountains of their riches. Now imagine they point their pickaxes at the human spirit, harvesting millennia of Buddhist insight, refining it into marketable sound bites, and shipping it back for a hefty profit. This is the new colonialism, a capitalism of consciousness that treats the dharma as a resource to be exploited rather than a path to be honored. Philosophical plunder, generations of monastic scholarship, ethical debates, silent transmission, all dissolved into 3 steps to instant calm. The nuance is stripped away, the dialectic flattened into a digital pamphlet. Can an app truly carry the weight of Madhyamaka logic or Zen's koans? No, it traffics in half-truths and catchy bullet points, leaving the learner with the brittle bones of wisdom, bereft of flesh. Cultural appropriation or collaboration. Western wellness brands whitewash Eastern symbols. Lotus flowers become logos. Sanskrit syllables become fashion statements. Is this homage or hubris? When million-dollar CEOs wear mala beads as chic accessories, the line between respectful adoption and sacrilegious commodification collapses. The exotic is packaged and sold, while the voices of traditional practitioners are silenced or relegated to decorative authenticity roles. The illusion of mutual benefit marketers claim they're sharing the gift of mindfulness with the world. But who truly benefits? The balance sheets of venture-backed startups soar, while the sanghas that stewarded these practices watch their elders' libraries go unread. Their monastic schools underfunded. Capital flows upward. The communities that cultivated compassion remain marginalized. Extraction under the guise of innovation. Tech evangelists promise revolutionary breakthroughs, neurofeedback, VR retreats, AI-guided dharma talks. Yet each innovation abstracts the living dialogue between teacher and student into data points. Beneath the veneer of progress, we witness the erosion of relational depth. Each pixelated bio an avataric prostration, a step further from embodied practice. The karma of capital. In a world of cause and effect, what becomes of the karmic residues of this extraction? Does the investor's profit seed conditions of spiritual drought? When we privatize awakening, we create suffering in those whose traditions we pillage. The market may offer dividends, but the Dharma's true yield, collective awakening, is lost in the ledger. Western capitalism doesn't merely borrow the Dharma. It bulldozes through its sanctuaries, plants its flags, and sells back the rubble as relics of enlightenment. As the marketplace devours every nuance, we arrive at the question, can anything remain untouched by commerce? Is there a place beyond logo-printed mats and subscription feeds where genuine emptiness still breathes? To answer, we must embrace a radical imagination, one that recognizes the void not as an absence to fill, but as a space to resist the ceaseless churn. The void as anti-commodity emptiness, shunyata, is the heart of Buddhism, a recognition that all phenomena are interdependent and lacking inherent self. Yet commerce strives to fill emptiness with products. To reclaim the void, one must view emptiness not as a vacuum to occupy, but as a sanctuary to guard against every form of filling. The true Dharma becomes the refusal to transact in that void. Re-enchanted Sangha. Beyond the fractured app ecosystems lies the possibility of homespun gatherings, unbranded, unmonetized, raw in their simplicity. These micro-sanghas revive the art of face-to-face transmission, speaking truth without subtitles, listening without live streams. Here, the void is honored, not marketed. Poetic resistance. Sing a mantra not for followers, but for the moon. Engage in walking meditation not as content for mindful gram, but as pilgrimage. Footsteps dissolving ego, leaving no digital footprint. Let your practice be a poem without a publisher, a cry into the open air. The guerrilla dharma plant, small altars in unlikely places, a weathered statue in a public park, a handful of seeds shaped like a Lotus Sutra page, a whispered mantra at dawn. This is dharma beyond the marketplace, a guerrilla act of presence that defies commodification. Embracing sabbatical silence in a world of 24/7 mindfulness notifications. Cultivate zones of unavailability, silent retreats with no social media, digital detoxes that honor the void. These sabbaticals are not retreats from life, but returns to raw existence, unmediated, unendorsed, unbought. The post-market dharma is an invitation to practice beyond metrics, where your heart, not your wallet, is the only currency. Having watched mindfulness become the darling of the tech oligarchs, the darling of big pharma's adjunct therapies, and the glittering prize of luxury retreat promoters, we must ask, what new frontier does the market seek? What fresh corners of the spirit remain unclaimed, waiting to be monetized? Neurohacking nirvana. The next battleground lies in direct brain modulation. Companies racing to patent biofeedback-infused headgear that purports to download sutra states directly into your neural networks. Imagine Zen by Zap, a wearable device that stimulates gamma wave coherence, promising enlightenment in 30 minutes flat. Already, venture capital flows into startups promising to map the meditative brain, reducing awakening to an endpoint on a graph. But by outsourcing our inner stillness to electrodes, we risk trading embodied insight for a synthetic simulacrum, mindfulness as mechanized stunt. Mindfulness as mind control software tech giants envision a world where your calendar auto-schedules mindfulness breaks. Your virtual assistant reminds you to breathe deeply, and corporate wellness platforms monitor your stress biomarkers in real time. The promise, a happier, more productive workforce. The peril, your interior life becoming a subsystem of productivity algorithms. Under the guise of care, these platforms fold meditation into corporate compliance. Your boss can gauge your Zen minutes before assigning that next deadline, transforming dharma into data points on a performance dashboard. The avatar monks. Virtual reality immerses you in hyper-real monastic settings, ancient caves, Himalayan passes, digital sanghas populated by AI avatars trained on masters' teachings. These avatar monks dispense guidance 24/7, free from human frailty. What is lost is the unpredictable humanity of the teacher, the spontaneous burning question, the protective glare, the halting laugh. In their place, perfect, unerring digital gurus whose only allegiance is to shareholder ROI. Genetic meditation. Frontier biotech whispers of epigenetic interventions. CRISPR-derived compounds that sensitize your brain to meditative states, or mitochondrial hacks that amplify endogenous serotonin flow during breath work. This promises to eradicate the slog of discipline, collapsing years of practice into a patented pill regimen. Yet in bypassing the path itself, we betray the transformative struggle that gives the path its depth. Collective consciousness as commodity blockchain enthusiasts talk of tokenizing group meditation, proof of meditation tokens that certify your participation in a global mindfulness network. Each token is traded, minted, and burned in a speculatory frenzy, as though collective equanimity were yet another crypto asset. The irony: we wrap the very principle of non-attachment in the mechanics of speculation, pricing our communal presence, auctioning our shared silence on decentralized ledgers. The market will relentlessly pursue any frontier where even a whisper of sacredness remains. Its final conquest will be to reduce emptiness itself to an asset class. Mindfulness, future contracts traded on the stock exchange of the soul. We have traced the Dharma's descent into the marketplace and seen the subtle violence of its corruption. Now comes the final provocation. Will you remain a consumer in the arena, or will you shatter the mirror of this commodified illusion? Will you rise as a fierce witness to the void itself? Reclaim your witness. Abandon the role of customer. Step into the posture of witness. Observe every app notification as an invitation to question your ownership of attention. Treat each mindfulness purchase as a test. Does this practice deepen your inquiry or distract from it? Declare a spiritual exodus. Formally resign from one monetized practice. Delete the most crassly commodified app. Refund the overpriced course. Burn, symbolically, the guru's branded merchandise. Let this act of renunciation be public, a manifesto of resistance to the spiritual marketplace. Cultivate radical non-participation. For 30 days, refuse all market-driven mindfulness experiences. Sit in silence without recording it for social media. Decline every invitation framed as a mindful event. Let your refusal be the loudest protest. Forge the unbranded Sangha. Gather a handful of kindred spirits committed to asking one question. What practice remains when the market's offers cease? Meet in unmarked spaces, backyards, community centers, mountain clearings, without logos, without subscriptions, without applause. Live the great fault line. Hold your practice as the fault line between what has been sold and what remains. Let every inhalation and exhalation chiaroscuro, the split between consumer consciousness and awakened presence, become the rupture that resists co-option. This is not an invitation to do more. It is an invitation to undo, to unbuy, unfollow, unschedule, to rediscover the question that transcends all offers. Who am I beyond the marketplace's mirror? Now, we stand at the edge where commerce dissolves into silence, where every brand's promise fades into the hush of emptiness. Let these verses be our final echo, an invitation to let the market's din give way to the stillness that needs no transaction. Shadows of logos drift on wind-carved stone, yet empty space remembers no name. In the hush between each traded breath, the true merchant waits, unclaimed, listening to the unmarketable. In that unbranded space between heartbeat and heartbeat, listen for the cadence that no algorithm can map. Honoring the unsold, remember the teachings divorced from profit, the koan without commentary, the sutra without a price tag, dwelling beyond demand. Be the marketplace's refusal. Practice in a grove, chant under sky, bow to earth, unbought and unbound. In the unmarked margins of your practice, the Dharma breathes free, beyond every ledger, beyond every sale. We began by witnessing the Dharma's betrayal, its transformation into consumer spectacle. We traced its desecration through brand rituals, data extraction, and spiritual celebrity. We mapped its deepest wounds in cortical probes and tokenized sanghas. Now, what remains is not a blueprint for new offerings, but an unraveling, wise unraveling of every craving to own, display, or monetize our own awakening. Sutra of unpurchase. Let every refusal to consume be its own teaching, an act of liberation more potent than any paid retreat. Koan of no brand. Show me the Buddha who cannot be Instagrammed. Let that inquiry be your practice. Mantra of true value. No price, no chain. Whisper it in the marketplace of minds and let it echo back as a resistance chord. The final act of mindfulness is not a purchase, but a pardon for our own complicity and for the market that sought to claim what can never be sold. Dear seekers of truth, the path does not end with this critique. It is reborn in your every choice. When the next app pings, when the next guru's ad appears, remember this journey. The silent flame within you cannot be capitalized. Let your practice be your defiance, your stillness the greatest revolution. I bow to the emptiness we share and to the fierce compassion that refuses to be sold.